Welcome back to Powerful Women in the World podcast. Episode 9, The Power of Saying No, How Boundaries Shape Success. If this is your first time joining us, welcome to a space where we don't just celebrate success, we redefine what it looks like, sounds like, and feels like, on our terms. Today, we're diving into a topic that's often overlooked, yet holds tremendous power, the art of saying no, and how boundaries are not walls, but bridges to the life and legacy you're meant to create. Let's get honest. How many times have you said yes when your whole body was screaming no? How many times have you agreed to something just to avoid conflict, to be polite, to be liked, to be seen as nice, easy to work with, or a team player? We've all been there. Because women, especially powerful women, are conditioned to believe that our value lies in our availability, in our willingness, in our ability to stretch ourselves thin to meet every need, every demand, every expectation. But here's the truth. Every yes you give without alignment is a no to yourself. And saying no? It's not selfish. It's sacred. Boundaries are not about keeping people out. They're about keeping your peace in. They're not restrictions. They're protections of your time, your energy, your sanity, your dreams. So why is saying no so hard? Because we've been taught that it makes us difficult, cold, unapproachable, that if we say no too often, we'll be seen as rude, uncaring, disconnected, that we'll lose opportunities, relationships, respect. But let me ask you this. What have you already lost by saying yes too often? Sleep, peace of mind, time with your loved ones, time with yourself. Every powerful woman I know has had to learn this truth the hard way, that burnout is not a badge of honor, that overgiving is not a leadership skill, that boundaries are not barriers to success, they're the blueprint. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine a garden. Beautiful, lush, vibrant. You're tending it daily, watering, pruning, nurturing it with love. But then, people start walking through it, picking your flowers, taking your fruit, trampling your soil. At first, you don't say anything. You don't want to offend. You don't want to seem selfish. But slowly, your garden begins to wither. That's what happens to your energy when you live without boundaries. People don't mean harm. They're just walking through because the gate was never closed. So today's episode, it's your permission to close the gate. To put up a sign that says, "This garden is sacred. Access by invitation only." Let's talk about what saying no actually sounds like. No, I'm not available for that project right now. No, I don't have the capacity to take this on. No, that doesn't align with my values. No, I need time to rest, to think, to just be. And here's the beauty of it. You don't need to explain your no. You don't need a 3-point essay. A boundary is a complete sentence. And every time you say no to something that drains you, you say yes to what sustains you. But let's go deeper. Saying no isn't just about time. It's about standards. It's about refusing to shrink into roles that don't fit. About not showing up for relationships that don't serve your soul. About not lowering your value just to be chosen. Because here's what I've learned. People will only respect the boundaries you honor for yourself. If you let them call at midnight, they will. If you say yes when you're tired, they'll keep asking. If you accept disrespect in silence, it will continue. So here's your invitation. Honor yourself first. Set the standard. Be clear. Be kind. Be firm. It doesn't make you rude. It makes you rooted. And this doesn't just apply to your personal life. Let's talk career, leadership, business. So many women are climbing ladders they don't even want to be on, just because they said yes too many times. Yes to jobs they outgrew. Yes to collaborations that drained them. Yes to being underpaid, undervalued, overlooked, just to keep the peace. But peace that costs your power is not peace, it's performance. And performance, it's exhausting. So what happens when you start saying no? People might not like it. You might lose some things. You might disappoint some people. But guess what? You'll find yourself. You'll make room for the things, the people, the opportunities that actually align. You'll discover that your worth is not tied to your output, that you don't owe anyone constant access to you, that boundaries are how you protect the woman you're becoming. Let me say this loud and clear. You are not required to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. Now let's get practical. How do you start setting boundaries? First, get clear on your yes. When you know what matters to you, your no becomes easier. Second, practice saying no with love. You can be kind and firm at the same time. You don't need to be aggressive. You just need to be clear. Third, honor your own boundaries. Don't say you'll rest and then work through the weekend. Don't say you'll protect your time and then fill every free hour with someone else's needs. Your consistency teaches others how to treat you. And finally, remember your why. Every time you say no, you're choosing alignment over approval. You're choosing purpose over people-pleasing. You're choosing the life you're building over the comfort of those who don't understand your growth. So as we wrap today's episode, I want to ask you, where do you need to say no? Where have you been betraying your own boundaries just to be accepted? What would your life look like if your yeses were sacred and your numbers were honored? Because the truth is, your time is sacred. Your energy is sacred. Your purpose is sacred. And every boundary you set is a declaration. I respect myself enough to protect what matters most. So the next time someone calls you difficult for saying no, smile and say, I'm not difficult. I'm discerning. You don't have to be available to everyone to be valuable to yourself. Powerful women don't just build empires. They build boundaries. And in doing so, they build lives that feel like freedom. So here's your challenge. This week, say no at least once, without guilt, without apology, without over-explaining. Just no. And feel how powerful that one word can be. Because when you stop betraying yourself to be liked, you start living in truth. You start showing up whole. You stop surviving, and you start thriving. Now let's take a moment, breathe in deeply, and ask yourself, what would it feel like to give yourself full permission to say no without fear? And mean it. Not a no laced with guilt. Not a no followed by 10 justifications. But a grounded, confident, heart-centered no. That's not for me right now. That's what we're reclaiming today. The inner authority to choose what aligns and release what doesn't. Because if you don't choose your priorities, the world will choose them for you. And let's talk about something tender for a moment. Relationships. Sometimes, the hardest no isn't to strangers or co-workers. It's to the people closest to us. To the friend who always calls when they need something. To the partner who expects more than you can give. To the family member who doesn't respect your time, space, or emotional boundaries. And I know, it's hard. It's layered. We want to be there. We want to support. But when your boundary feels like betrayal, remember, it's not betrayal to choose your peace. It's protection. Because you can't pour into others from an empty cup. You can't serve your community, your purpose, your calling, if you're constantly running on fumes. So here's a loving reminder. Boundaries are a form of love. Love for yourself. Love for your growth. Love for the relationships that matter. Because healthy boundaries create healthy connections. Think of the most powerful women throughout history. The leaders. The visionaries. The change makers. They all had one thing in common. They weren't afraid to say no. They said no to injustice. No to playing small. No to being silenced. No to systems, expectations, and limitations that told them they couldn't, shouldn't, wouldn't. And because they said no to the wrong things, they were free to say yes to the right ones. Yes to purpose. Yes to impact. Yes to legacy. So what do you need to say yes to? Your health. Your art. Your healing. Your joy. Your rest. Your own voice. Because sometimes, a no to the world is a yes to yourself. Here's the beauty of boundaries. They don't just shape your present. They shape your future. They teach the next generation, especially the girls watching, that saying no is not rebellion. It's responsibility. It's clarity. It's wisdom. Imagine a world where every woman felt safe to say no. Where no wasn't punished, but respected. Where your no didn't make you the villain, but the visionary. That world starts with you. So as you step into your next meeting, your next conversation, your next opportunity, pause and ask yourself, does this honor my values? Does this nourish my purpose? Does this align with the woman I'm becoming? And if the answer is no, trust yourself enough to say it. Because your power is not just in your voice, it's in your choices. You are allowed to disappoint others in the process of not disappointing yourself. Let that sink in. Now, before we wrap, I want you to carry this mantra into your week. I don't owe anyone an explanation for protecting my peace. My no is not mean. It's mindful. My boundaries are not rejection. They are redirection toward the life I deserve. So, take that bold first step. Start where you are. Say no when you need to. Reclaim your time. Reclaim your joy. Reclaim your voice. You are not here to please the world. You are here to impact it. And sometimes, the most powerful thing you can say is no. And before I let you go, I want to remind you of something deeply important. You are not defined by how much you can endure. You are defined by how fully you choose to live. And part of living fully is protecting your energy like it's gold. Because it is. The world has enough women who are exhausted, overcommitted, and quietly resentful. What the world needs is women who are rested. Women who are clear. Women who are unapologetically aligned with their mission, their values, and their worth. So today, give yourself this permission slip. I am allowed to choose myself. I am allowed to protect my peace. I am allowed to say no, even if it makes others uncomfortable. I am allowed to walk away from anything that doesn't honor me. And I'll go even further. You don't just deserve boundaries. You require them to fulfill your purpose. You don't just have the right to say no. You have the responsibility to say it when the cost of saying yes is your joy. Because here's what we don't talk about enough. Unprotected time leads to unfulfilled dreams. Unclear boundaries lead to blurry identities. Constant yeses lead to a quiet erosion of self. And we're done with that, aren't we? We're done performing for approval. We're done sacrificing clarity for connection. We're done wearing burnout like a badge and silence like safety. Because real power, sustainable, rooted, unshakable power, lives in the woman who knows her worth, trusts her voice, and builds walls only where protection is needed, and doors only where invitation is welcome. So if you've been sitting in the tension of wanting to say no, but fearing the outcome, this is your sign. The fear might still whisper, but courage gets the final say. Let the people who truly love you adjust to your boundaries, not the other way around. Let the spaces that honor you rise to meet your truth, not force you to dim your light. And please hear me when I say this. You do not have to explain your boundaries to those who benefit from you not having any. You do not have to apologize for choosing peace over performance. You do not have to shrink your no into a maybe just to make others comfortable. Because when a woman learns the power of no, she unlocks the real yes. The yes to purpose. The yes to peace. The yes to power on her own terms. So as you move through the rest of this day, this week, this chapter of your life, I want you to remember, every no you say is a yes to something deeper. To the woman you're becoming. To the life you're creating. To the truth you're finally allowing yourself to live in. And that woman? The one who's clear. The one who's intentional. The one who protects her heart, her time, her voice. That woman is a force. You are that woman. So, stand tall. Speak clearly. And say no when you need to. Because that's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's not selfishness. That's self-respect. That's not rejection. That's redirection toward what actually matters. This is the new model of leadership. This is the new definition of strength. This is what success looks like when it's rooted in soul, not sacrifice. You don't have to give it all away to prove you're worthy. You already are. Your presence is powerful. Your no is sacred. Your boundaries are your blueprint. So draw your lines. Honor your space. Protect your peace like it's the foundation of your future, because it is. And if no one's told you lately, you're doing a beautiful job. You're not too much. You're not too sensitive. You're not too protective. You're just finally choosing yourself, and that's exactly what powerful women do. Thank you for spending this sacred time with me here on Powerful Women in the World. If this message stirred something in your spirit, pass it on. Send it to a woman who's always been the giver, the fixer, the one who never says no, because she deserves this message too. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Next week, we're diving into a topic that complements today's conversation. The guilt detox. How to stop feeling bad for putting yourself first. Until then, protect your peace. Guard your energy. Say no without fear. And say yes only to what sets your soul on fire. This is your voice. Your boundary. Your time. You were born for this.